The big, beautiful bill is now the law, and according to the official White House website, it brings the largest tax cut in history for middle and working class Americans, plus provides funding to secure our border. And joining us tonight, Valley Congressman Vicente Gonzalez. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So the bill was signed into law last week. How does it specifically impact our area?
Yes, well, it has a very heavy impact on regions like South Texas. First of all, it's the biggest tax cut for billionaires and multinational corporations that is going to put our country in $3.4 trillion further into debt, reaching almost $40 trillion in debt, which is why Elon Musk and so many of these bipartisan think tanks are against this bill. What it is going to do, it's going to cut $500 billion in Medicare for senior citizens. It's going to cut $400 billion in Medicaid for working class and poor working people in America. And for example, in my district, I have almost 250,000 people on Medicaid. The Rio Grande Valley has close to 500,000 people that rely on Medicaid. More than 1 out of 4 households rely on Medicaid. It also cuts $300 billion out of SNAP, which is, food assistance, Meals on Wheels for seniors.
A lot of families rely on it.
Definitely food, lunches in school or breakfast at school, or the EBT summer lunch program. Many times the only meal kids get in regions like South Texas all day long. And so it's going to cut over $1 trillion in health care. So what does that do? It certainly gives you less options of places where you can get the health care, but it also creates a void where small clinics or hospitals begin to shutter because they can't afford to stay open, so there's less availability of care. We're also going to cut Pell Grants. I know a lot of people in schools in South Texas and across the country rely on Pell Grants. I used Pell Grants when I was in college. And we're going to have less care for veterans. So it's across the board. So are there going to be some tax cuts? Yes. We're not going to have taxes on tips, and we're not going to have taxes on overtime. But the cost of that helps a very, very small percentage of the American population, and even here in our region. But the cost of that is very, very high in programs that are going to be cut.
Now let's talk about ICE raids. We've had some here in the Valley. It's been reported some people are afraid to go to work sites. Have you heard from business owners? What are they telling you?
I have.
Is it impacting their business?
I have. First of all, the raids have been overwhelmingly hyper-aggressive and inhumane in a lot of ways. We've seen the footage of, a man being chased with a weed eater in his hand and getting tackled and with a knee on his neck to be able to arrest him. The father of 3 United States Marine Corps veterans, and many, many other examples of that. What it's doing to local economies like the farming industry, the hospitality industry, construction. They just showed me a video of a site they were developing here in McAllen that was completely empty. In the middle of the day, there were no workers there. People are afraid to come out and work. Even people with legal status are afraid to go out and be detained or harassed by ICE. People are waiting for things to cool down, which they may not cool down, because this bill brings billions of dollars of funding to actually turn up the volume and do more of these raids across the country. I recently sent a letter to the president asking him to do an executive order for people who are here undocumented that have been here 3 years or longer and have never had any legal troubles, where the employer can sponsor them on a 2-year basis. And there seemed to be an interest, and then all of a sudden today, Secretary Rollins of Agriculture said that they were not going to do any kind of amnesty even for farm workers, and that they wanted to make an 100% American workforce. It's almost impossible for that to happen. So we have some serious struggles. I think the business community in South Texas and other regions around the country are going to struggle if those policies continue.
Well, we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And we reached out to Republican Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz about the big, beautiful bill. In a statement, the Congresswoman says, in part, this legislation delivers for all Americans by solidifying the largest tax cut in history, boosting the child tax credit for American families, and eliminating tax on tips and overtime. Additionally, we're investing in border security, supporting Border Patrol agents, and sustaining the program South Texans rely on by rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. We asked for comment in regards to ICE worksite enforcement operations. We're waiting for a statement.